And we are live. Welcome on your TVs there in Texas and Louisiana, as well as streaming around the globe live. We have a crazy world right now. It's a few things I want to talk about. This is just so whatever, man. I'll tell you what, David. It is pretty crazy. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I just landed here in Portugal. So I'm at blockchainhouseportugal.com and getting set up. I'll spend a few weeks here before heading to the next event. We're looking at Crypto Mondays in Lisbon. And at the end of May, they have the NFC conference. And, Portugal is super progressive for the blockchain community. Lots of great projects happening right here. And the weather's beautiful. It's fantastic, perfectly comfortable. So I'm just getting geared up here and taking a look at the markets and the news. What else is
That's
going on?
awesome. Yeah, so Blockchain House Portugal. Our main man
Yeah.
Emilio over there, he's got his Blockchain House Portugal. David, I know he's done well. First of all, he's done a lot of work getting that going, but as well, you have done a lot of work to make that happen too. How is the house? It's still standing.
Standing strong. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. You go up to the rooftop and you have the most amazing view that anybody can get. At this point, it's got the highest, most rooftop, and you see across the river to the big city of Portimao, and you see down the river into Farragudo. You see the bridge, and you have a 360 view around into the mountains. So you have all these aspects of civilization that you're able to observe, and it's quite beautiful. The sunrise, the sunsets, really special spot that they picked out here.
It's a special spot. It's a special spot. Do you have a Blockchain House Portugal you can put in our background? Maybe it's maybe a different one. So a couple of things I want to talk about. Obviously, the markets are in a bit of a flux. We had a durable goods report come out. I know Matt's going to talk a bit about that in a bit. One of the things that I really wanted to go over was, of course, the war is intensifying, and of course that should come as no surprise to anybody because we just funded it, right? So, of course, we didn't fund it for no reason. We funded a war. We didn't fund reconstruction or, anything else. We funded the war. And so the war is what we're going to get. And there is one thing I really wanted to point out, though, to everybody, and that is that the protest and everything and the arrest last night. So these protests are going to continue. If you guys think that we're going to clear this up, it ain't happening. That we are in for the long haul here, and I think that there's a few things that everybody should notice here. Number one is that how the protests are being handled. If you remember when these people are not these people, but when they had these protests, when there were lots of protests for different things that happened, whether it was Trump election or whether it was actually when Trump got elected and when he didn't get elected, right? It was they did not handle things like they're handling now. They arrested like 54 people in Utah or something like that, and they're going in there very, very harsh. And I want everybody. I guess I don't want to get into it that much today. But I want everyone, you have to start thinking critically. You have to start thinking critically before it's too late. It might already be too late, to be honest, but it's never really too late, right? I mean, if we're still alive, then I would say it's probably not too late. But while you still can, you need to start thinking critically. Who is behind what is going on? Who is in charge of the United States? Who is running basically the United States? that got us into this mess of where we are. And you need to start thinking critically. Before it's too late. You got to challenge some of the things that you have been used to and think about things differently, because, you know, the old saying, if you do the same thing over and over again and get the same result, well, if we do the same thing over and over again, the result that we're getting is pretty bad right now. Maybe you should take over the background, David. You can't decide.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty messy. So Arizona has now indicted Trump, and they have indicted, I think, 15 other people, 14 or 15 people total. So we're like 5 months from the election or something. And Trump is getting indicted now in Arizona. They're saying he tried to change the elections or whatever they're saying. It's a conspiracy. Same thing everybody's tried to do since the beginning. But as I said in the show yesterday, like, do you guys really think that if everything's stacked, I just don't see. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I hope so, guys. I hope so. But whether or not, we're still all going to be here, and we're going to need to figure a way forward. And so that gets into the thinking critically thing. Okay? Because you probably have a family. You know, my kids are young. They have a full life ahead of them. Maybe I won't be around. I'm trying to figure out how to stay around as long as I can. But maybe I won't be around. But they're going to be around. Gosh, I want to leave them at least something, someplace where they can be okay, be safe, have some grandkids. I'm sure you do too. I think that I don't know. I think calling everyone pro-Hamas just because they don't want tens of thousands of people, including kids, killed over in some place is not the way forward. We're not going to get anywhere with that. I said it in a couple of shows ago. You have police operations and you have military operations. If it's a military operation, then you need a military, then you're fighting a military. If it's a police operation, then you need to handle it like a police operation. You can't just drop bombs on tens of thousands of kids. And I know, oh, we're getting those numbers from them. They must be lying. All right, well, cut them in half. I mean, I don't know. So it's not 30,000, it's 15,000. It's still, guys, they're dropping bombs on people. That has repercussions. And now with the open border, we have all these people here. So, of course, the kids at college, they don't want bombs dropped. Nobody wants bombs dropped on kids. I mean, that's pretty much the line, guys. That's the line. You got a bunch of men and some women, but a bunch of men, and they're legislating, they're stealing your money to pay for bombs to go drop on families. And it's not going to sit well. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're doing. Like, that's just not going to sit well. It's not. It's not going to jive with people. You're going to have unrest. Saw a video of a poor girl last night. I mean, I won't even play. It's just horrible. It's just horrible. It's horrible. Anyway, markets are tepid. Arizona now indicts Trump. That's big, guys. That's big. And I also think that the New York case, it's a criminal case, and he's probably going to lose. He's losing everything else. And while I'm on my rant, before we get in, Matt, I mean, I will share my screen for this. I mean, I know everybody loves Donald Trump's lawyer. I get it, I guess. But, like, it's his lawyer. And, like, what have his lawyers done for him? Like, are they winning? No. And then when I see post, and everybody is just kind of laughing at me for sharing it, but I mean, I just like, this is Donald Trump's lawyer? Is this his lawyer in New York? I mean, I don't even know. It's hard for me to keep track of everything. Where is it? Where is she? It's one of my posts from yesterday. I'll just pull it up real quick. I said, basically said, you know, we're only here for a short time. 15 years goes by. That picture was taken. Took that 15 years ago. Where is this video? Gosh, no. All right, hold on. This. So what do you notice about this video? And I know, whatever, right? But like, this is Trump's lawyer in New York. He's like fighting for his life, and this is what we get.
I've never done a video like this, so I thought I would try, because Ron Filipowski is getting like 1 million views for me chopping celery. This is me eating avocado. Happy Passover, everybody. Hey, Ron, you little trollski. Well, I'm not good at this either. Okay. Oops. Get a life.
Yeah, it's rough.
Get a life? This is the woman that's supposed to keep Trump out of jail? She's on making selfie videos of herself? Cutting out, I mean, this is where we're at? I need more coffee this morning or something. Let's talk finance. Matt, save us. Matt Dixon, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good morning. Let me just see where we are. Yes.
So durable goods report came out, right?
Yeah, I think.
Is that what tanked the markets, or is it this ongoing war that's just now? I mean, our summer here is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I missed what you were just saying. What might have tanked the markets, but I think what did tank the markets was the figures out yesterday. Let's just jump back into what I was saying yesterday, the upcoming news. Let me just share my screen as per usual. Getting quicker at this now, so hopefully you should be able to see my screen.
Yes.
Yes. So a little bit slower at this one. This is it. Yeah, play from the start. It's not actually this one that we want to see, although this is extremely interesting because we had dollar index here. This channel is the dollar index, which has stayed within channel pretty well since the financial crisis. We're right now mid-channel, so the market is really sensitive because the US dollar, basically, when the US dollar turns from a high or from a low, we tend to see a high or a low in the Bitcoin price, an extreme in the Bitcoin price, a major turn that we see in the market. Right now, we're right at the middle of the channel. So people are really sensitive to the news that's coming in the market. So the news that came out yesterday, which was interesting, was durable goods orders. Now, why, you might think, is this going to affect Bitcoin? Well, it's because it potentially affects interest rates, affects the value of the US dollar, affects the money flowing around, the available money to invest into risk assets. So you can see from this historical chart below that actually the durable goods orders were in negative territory since last July. Actually jumping around negative, positive since last July, but we had quite a big downturn negative. And it was around these negative figures that the Fed was talking about potentially lowering interest rates. And there's a lot of talk about, first of all, probably 4 or 5 rate cuts in 2024. Now they're down to 3, and I think now possibly 2 or maybe even none. So the thing is, durable goods orders is basically a kind of barometer on the health of the economy. The actual orders of durable goods, those goods that last longer than 3 years, I think. So they were 0.7% last time. They're expecting 2.5% this time, and came out 2.6%. So it came out even stronger than expected. And the expectation was already for a big jump into positive territory there. So this is a concern because it means that the economy is pushing ahead. It's potentially overheating because the economy is getting really strong in some areas. And yet, the next chart that I'm just going to show you is the information that's due out tonight, the data out tonight. And this is GDP growth. It's this kind of both ends of the spectrum. So we're seeing some areas of the economy hotting up, so kind of consumption is hotting up. But the GDP growth itself, maybe the manufacturing side of it perhaps, is slowing down. So we had 3.4%, dropped to 2.5%. Sorry, that's the expectation, 2.5%. So it was 4.9% in Q3, dropped to 3.4% in Q4, and we're expecting 2.5%. This is going to be quite important tonight. So let's just see if we beat, whether we fail or we beat expectations. But what we're seeing is quite a strong drop-off in GDP. And this is the problem the Fed's got. They've got some figures showing strength in the economy, some figures showing weakness, and at the same time we've got strong inflation, and then we've got, obviously, regarding inflation, we've got PCE figures coming out very soon. So again, they previously showed a slight increase in expectations. Well, actually they beat expectations, higher than expected, and so inflation's a bit of a worry here. So all of these things are impacting on cryptocurrency prices, on risk asset prices. So we'll jump into what actually happened. Look what happened yesterday when we got those PCE figures out. It came out just a bit stronger than expected, but it just shows a pickup in expectations for the economy means that they are not going to be able to drop interest rates. And so next week, I think next Wednesday, when they have their interest rate decision, they're not going to be able to drop rates. That's almost nailed on now. They're not going to be able to drop rates as they expected only a few months back now. They were saying they're going to be dropping rates, around this time. It's not going to happen. And I don't think they're going to be able to signal any lowering of interest rates in the foreseeable future. And so this is where the press conference...
Now, the personal consumption expenditures, when did those numbers come out?
They came out last night, and they coincided
along with the durable goods report.
Sorry, are you talking about PCE figures? They're not out yet. I mean, the previous PCE obviously was a little while ago. The next PCE figures are due out in a few days. I'm not sure exactly when.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just making sure.
Yeah. So we can see when the PCE figures, durable goods came out yesterday, immediately the market sold off. But what's interesting is it wasn't just Bitcoin. And so many people think that Bitcoin, why would it be affected? Because it's a cryptocurrency. But the thing is, in the early days, from that chart we showed before, the movements weren't due to economic expectations or economic data. But as the cryptocurrency matured, particularly Bitcoin, it's now become a recognized risk asset where more and more institutions are investing into Bitcoin. And actually, the available capital to invest in Bitcoin is very changeable, dependent upon economic conditions. So that's why now this economic data, we have to watch it. If we're into cryptocurrency, we really need to start taking notice of economic data that comes out. And so we see Bitcoin here sold off quite sharply. This is the 4-hour chart. And we can look at, for example, if I can just dig it out, there we are, SPX. So this was the S&P. Just look at it, fell off in exactly the same way. As soon as the news came out yesterday, the S&P.
And what you see what is it? Is this the 15-minute chart? What you see happening before there is the guys that were in the know. What's that?
This is the 4-hour chart.
Okay. The people that were in the know selling off are okay. So that was a nice push up then before.
Yeah, I mean, this is just it. I mean, so often you do get a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. So, you know, and when the news actually came out, I mean, that's probably not entirely true in this case, because basically we got strong news and you got an S&P sell-off, and that's what you'd expect. Strong data, meaning higher, basically higher growth figures, meaning that the interest rates are going to need to stay higher for longer. And that's not good for risk assets, because it means there's going to be less money flowing around in the economy. And I've heard so many people saying, oh, but they're going to keep the economy, you know, flowing really well, really buoyant right up until the election, because the Democrats definitely need to keep the economy looking good if they want any hope of being elected. I mean, for a start, it's actually a long time till the election, till November, still a long time. So anything can happen between now and then. But the other thing is, how much are they able to control when they've got some of these fundamentals working against them, where they do still have highly elevated inflation? They're not able to drop interest rates, and they're not able to print money right now, even though they probably like people to feel better off, to feel like they've got more money in their hands. They don't care about what problems they leave for the next administration. They only care about getting voted in again. That's what matters. So they don't mind about creating problems down the line. It just shows it's really sad. These guys are supposed to be running the country for the benefit of everybody, and yet they're more interested in retaining their seats, you know, and retaining their positions of power. And, you know, we've got absolute proof of that over and over and again with political decisions that are made in the run-up to elections. They're made for the purpose of getting re-elected. And so we do know that the Democrats, whoever they might be, whether it's in the UK with, you know, Conservatives, whoever's in power at the time, they're going to do what they can do to try to ensure that things are looking rosy just before people go to the ballot box. And that's what they will try to do here. But I'm just saying the hands are a little bit tied, because they are not going to be able to lower interest rates because inflation is elevated. And we're seeing that every little, I mean, the market now is so sensitive. Normally, those figures that came out yesterday wouldn't normally have quite such a big impact on the market, but they did have an immediate impact on the market. And I was actually live on a show at the time. Sorry, Bruce?
Yeah, it's like we said, and I say it around the world, even as I'm at these events. It just, the market's high, but it feels hollow. It feels hollow, and it's like everybody's got the jitters, and it's pumped very, very high, but it feels like it's not very steady.
I think that's quite a good kind of description of the market being hollow or being lightweight, as it were. So very much blown by the wind. So anything that happens, any new data that comes in, it's a very sort of lightweight market or hollow market that is blown this way or that way with every gust of wind that we get. So yesterday's gust of wind, of course, was the data yesterday. Let's see what happens today with GDP figures. But just looking at the Bitcoin chart, I mean, we've been, again, I'll just zoom out just a little bit, because it looks as though we are in some kind of correction at the moment, sideways correction, slightly sideways correction. I've got it labeled here as A, B, C, and the C wave. The size of the C wave from B to C exactly equals from the top to the A wave. So that is a very, very normal correction. What is a little bit concerning, and I hope it stays within this corrective mode, and we push up and break through it to the upside, or it could just continue consolidating a bit more sideways. But what is a little bit concerning, if I look at this short term now and just open out a little bit where we are with this current move down, it's looking a little bit impulsive to the downside in what appears to be a 5-wave kind of move. So some kind of, from the A wave here, let me just find my cursor, from the A wave, little A wave we've got there. So we've got a wave down, which will be a wave 1 potentially. We've got a choppy wave 2 up of sorts. And then a wave 3 would be the strongest move, normally an impulsive wave to the downside. And it would be quite interesting just to measure while we're here. And it's good to do this live so people can actually see what we're doing. Just looking at the fib retracement. Annoying. Let me just do that once more. Nothing ever works right when you're working live, does it?
Live
Live
TV.
has a lot of authenticity to it. That is for sure.
Yeah. All I can say is here, we've vastly exceeded. I can see that basically wave 3 was way more than 1.618 times wave 1. So the minimum expectation normally for wave 3. Wave 3 is normally what they call the extended wave, the bigger wave. And to be an extended wave, it really needs to be at least 1.618 or more. And it's usually an exact Fibonacci, or very often an exact Fibonacci relationship to the first one. So we have the Fibonacci extensions will be 1.618, then 2.618, 4.236. So we're way past 1.618 here. And then we pushed up a little bit, perhaps in a wave 4 and down to wave 5. So there's still a number of options, but that in itself is an impulsive wave. So it could be just an A wave, and we get a B wave up and a C wave down to complete that, and then we push up to the upside. So it's just a little bit of a fly in the ointment, a little bit of a concern that maybe this isn't just a simple corrective wave down and then we're going to push higher, because this move down was so sharp. So I do think, and this is why we need to be data dependent, a little bit like the Fed is always talking about, Elliott wave and any other technical analysis system, there's no perfect system to predict the markets. So you need to keep on top of the data that's coming in, because all technical data really is driven by underlying fundamental data. So we got fundamental data out last night, really, which drives the markets, and then we can see it affecting a chart pattern and basically a technical indicator. So far, we've got 5 waves down. That is a little bit worrying for me. So I'm being very cautious right now what's going on in the market and what my expectations might be. And interestingly, we had a survey last night. We actually did a bit of a survey of market participants, and everybody, 100% of traders were bullish Bitcoin. So
That was
everybody
before everything, and that was right before it went down, right?
Yeah, and what's worrying about that is that when everybody is bullish on a particular asset,
like we always say,
there's only one way it can go, because everybody is already long in the market. So the only people that can enter the market are people who are going to go short in the market. So all those people who are long in the market have already driven it to at and near all-time highs now. So the only people left to enter the market are not longs, but shorts. And that's why when you see 100% people, and that's why this sort of sentiment analysis is what's called a contrarian indicator. When it gets to extremes of sentiment, when there's too many people positive in the market, it's actually a negative indication. And vice versa, when too many people are negative, then that's basically when the market turns higher. And that's what spawned the old adage about when there's blood in the streets, it's time to buy. And Warren Buffett said something similar. One of the greatest investors of all time, the greatest value investor of all time, perhaps. And he said, effectively, when there's, and there's other sayings as well about extreme exuberance and all that kind of thing. When the market's really exuberant and positive, that's the time to sell. When it's really negative, time to buy. So at the moment, I mean, to be fair, I'm extremely bullish Bitcoin, because everything fundamental is in its favor. But maybe it's somewhat priced in. Let's hope that it's not, and there's still more to come. I personally believe underlying there is more to come, but a lot depends on these economic indicators. So let's see. As I say,
it's the economic indicators, and it's the decisions that are made. You know, when we're focused, when our primary focus is and I know I'm here in the United States, so of course. But we're really influential around the world as well. But when our primary focus is foreign wars, when what is driving our economy is war, when we're looking at funding armaments that are going to kill tens of thousands, millions, or hundreds of thousands of people, and that's what we're looking at as stimulus in the economy. It's like the old, if building things is good. Killing things, breaking them down is usually bad. And so that's not overall. I don't think. I mean, obviously, it's not a good strategy long term. It might help short term, but yeah. I mean, the inflation, we already see it. They passed that bill like less than a week ago. Gas prices are already up, even though I see oil down a little bit. Of course, it takes a few weeks for the refineries and everything, but we already see inflation going up.
Yeah, this is all reinforced and off the back of yesterday's figures. So just look at the negatives that we see there across the market, all in red, the whole market there in red, apart from those two assets which tend to do well in inflationary times. So we saw effectively strong growth figures effectively yesterday. So we're seeing oil price just ticking up a little bit, and obviously that protection against inflation, gold. So we just click on the gold price. So maybe gold has completed its correction. We were talking yesterday about gold was in the midst of a bit of a correction.
Looking like a pretty good entry point.
Yeah, because we have a nice A wave, B wave, C wave. I don't think it's quite 100%, but I'll just have a quick look at what the Fibonacci relationship is there. So we'll measure the extent of the A wave there. And then we just transpose that to the B wave. Okay, we exceeded 100% on the downside, just exceeded it. But that's perfectly okay, perfectly allowable. So it's still potentially an ABC. It looks as though we've got a 535, some kind of 535, which is what's called a zigzag correction. Then we appear to be moving quite nicely to the upside. And gold, as we say, is the hedge against inflation. So those strong figures yesterday were saying the economy is heating up, and so inflation is going to remain an issue. And some people have said that we are in, I mean, they haven't conquered inflation at all. And that's why obviously interest rates they're not able to lower interest rates. So yeah, it's not a good situation to be in, especially in election year, when they're not going to be making necessarily the right decisions for the economy. And even Solana is a little bit worrying, as we can see. So I looked at it this morning, and potentially from the top, from the local top that we had, which was 209 or somewhere around there, we had a wave one down. We had here clearly a choppy, so clearly corrected because it's all overlapping, wave two higher. And then a wave three down, which again was more than 1.618 times the wave one. And then a very clear A, B, C higher for the wave four. And it doesn't overlap wave one, so it's perfectly within Elliott wave rules. And then we moved down again from last night. We moved down quite strongly, quite impulsively to the downside. So there's a real potential. And again, we don't guarantee anything here, but just saying, there's the local top. I've got a signal there with a circle and a label the potential local top. And here's the potential target for a wave five, which would be 106 for Solana. And we're currently 144. So there's potential, and that's not a guaranteed target or anything of the sort. It's just normally you measure from the top to the end of wave three, transpose to the wave four, and the wave five normally travels to about 0.618 of that measurement from zero.
Well, that would be an interesting number considering it did hit 107 on KuCoin before when it first went down, and like you said, and as we see most of the time, it almost always retests at least the same area. So I thought to myself, it'll probably go there. Now it could very easily turn around, but that's interesting number.
Yeah, so it is a little bit concerning short term. So again, anyone who's long in the market, I'd at least protect your positions. Be careful. I think it's probably a bit premature to be jumping in long, and even Bitcoin. It's looking positive, and I think Bitcoin long term, because there's so many positives there with the institutional and all the other things we said about innovations and so on, with runes. I think the outlook for Bitcoin in particular is really strong. So it's a bit different than other times we've had. We've always talked about being Bitcoin leading the way, and then you have alt season. And I'm not quite sure whether it's going to follow through the same way. People love cycles. Human psychology itself loves cycles and things repeating themselves. I'm not sure whether we're going to get this same old altcoin season. I think Bitcoin might actually continue to power ahead of most other things. I know a lot of people. I mean, Bitcoin we saw yesterday, back in October 2009, was priced at 900ths of a cent. It's less than 1/10 of a cent in that time. So a lot of people say now Bitcoin at 63,600, even though it's down 10,000 from its all-time high, that it's still massively high. And they say that the upside potential is limited because it's so highly priced. And they prefer some of the smaller altcoins, which are priced in a matter of a few cents, like Bitcoin was those many years ago. But you can't just go on that kind of logic, thinking that just because it's priced at a certain level, it will go to a certain level. I still think Bitcoin at the moment has the greatest potential because it's going to get the greatest institutional adoption. And also, as I say, it's got all those other things in its favor.
There is as well, Ethereum, I think, is on a 30-day. They have, I think it's 30 days or 31. I think it's 30 days today left to cancel the Ethereum. I think that's as long as they have left, the SEC to stop it.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt they're going to be able to, but they are trying to label it as a security, aren't they? And if they did, that has massive implications across the industry, because most of the coins, I say most, still the majority of coins are still on the Ethereum blockchain, on the ERC20 protocol, most of them. So, that would have such wide implications. I don't know what would happen if that were to happen. So even Litecoin has seen quite a bit of a sell-off. I was trying to count it, and I'm still trying to count it, as we basically had some kind of ABC down, and this is just a correction higher. I was trying to label it as some kind of leading diagonal higher, and that's still possibly the case. So same with everything. There's no certainty right now, and I would say, especially as we're seeing dollar index right in the middle of the range, there's a lot of uncertainty. Nobody can be clear really which way the market's going right now, and it's really anybody's guess right now. So I can label this potentially as some kind of leading diagonal wave 1, which would mean a wave 2 down and wave 3 higher. That would be a very positive scenario, or potentially we could count this as a 1, 2, 3, and this is wave 4, and then a further 5th wave to the downside. So again, if we were to see those lows on Solana that we talked about, 106, no doubt we would see lows again here on Litecoin, which would be below this low labeled here of $70. So they are all still quite highly correlated cryptos. So whatever happens to Bitcoin, they do say, a rising tide lifts all boats, and the opposite goes as well. It's a falling tide will lower all boats or drop all boats or whatever. So we really just need to look at Bitcoin, I think, apart from those few outliers that have some specific fundamental drivers. In general, we just need to look at what's happening with Bitcoin and a few of the majors like Ethereum, and that will give us, a strong indication as to where the market's going. I was just checking. Still got gold there, but this is actually Litecoin I'm showing here. And then even, I'm just looking for your favorite Doge, down 2%. So it's fallen a long way from your 20 cents. It's now down 14.8. The outlook for Doge is actually very positive. There's an awful lot of innovation going on that chain. So even if you do see a bit of a drop, I think the outlook is quite positive there. Book of Memes had an amazing day yesterday until that news came out. So again, even Book of Memes, a meme coin, who would think it is going to be affected by data coming out of the United States? And this just shows now how this asset class, the cryptocurrency asset class, is maturing and is becoming dependent so much on the big economic fundamentals about the amount of money, because it's big money these days. I mean, the market cap of Book of Memes, and bearing in mind it's such a new token. I mean, when did it start? It started in March, didn't it?
It started with a bang too. About 30 or 45 days ago, I would off the cuff, I'd say.
Yeah, it started in March. I'm just checking where we are on market cap for Book of Memes. Anyway, not so important, I guess, but I'm just quite interested.
I'm going to do Yeah, for the last few minutes, last 5 minutes or so of the show as well, I want to cover Austin Consensus, really important event coming up here in the U.S.
Yeah. What's coming up, sorry, in the US?
Consensus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Consensus Austin.
look forward to that, hearing what that's all about. So XRP, a few people have asked XRP. Again, we appear to have had from the top here that we're showing on the chart here, an ABC down. And again, this could be some kind of leading diagonal, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. It's just a correction. And that's what I'd like to think, because if that is the case, this is just a correction to the downside, then when we get these GDP figures out today, maybe they'll be slightly weaker than expected, and that will probably push. It all seems back to front, doesn't it? We get weaker GDP figures, and that's probably going to push the risk assets higher. All it is because of how it affects interest rates, how it affects the amount of money that's flowing around in the economy. So if we get strong GDP, they're going to adopt tighter monetary policy, which means money is going to flow out of the market, out of risk assets, and they'll fall in price. So it all seems back to front, but that's actually why it happens, why we get that, what we think is a kind of inverse effect. Now Tesla had quite a move, didn't it? I know we're not always looking at the quite a jump. I'm not sure what news came out of Tesla, but Tesla long-term chart is looking a bit negative. They've got a lot of competition from these Chinese manufactured electric cars, haven't they? A lot of competition. There's BYD is the main one, isn't it? What is it? Something about Be Your Dreams or something. Anyway, BYD is the main competitor, I think, and they're actually possibly overtaking Tesla in terms of market size. But there must have been some good news out yesterday for some reason, because Tesla is what's been driving the US market higher.
It is, and I don't know if it totally has to do with it. Well, number one, their humanoid robot is basically going to join the production line. The humanoid robot is going to start building itself. So pretty exciting innovation. And I know that's not Tesla, but now Elon comes out over the last day or two and says that he's trying to reclassify Tesla to not even be a car anymore, but to be a robot. And I think that's what sent the market flying.
Wow, amazing. 12%.
Yeah. Robotics. He says this should be classified as a robotics company.
Okay. I mean, we saw a good jump in Biogen as well. There's a couple that I like to keep an eye on. Biogen, some amazing technology with, all these sort of RNA vaccines and stuff that they're doing is quite amazing. The potential there with dealing with cancer, dealing with all sorts of issues. So some amazing couple of tech companies there just to keep an eye on as well. Good barometer for the market. But we, in the main, will be keeping our focus on crypto. And again, BNB is actually showing itself as extremely resilient in this bit of a down market we're seeing today. It's down 0.39%. Most of the market's down around 2%. Algorand down 4.73%. So BNB is one of those really solid tokens, got a really solid use case with a buy and burn policy. So basically what that means is that the profits that they make from Binance, and they basically charge commissions, and you get reduced commissions if you hold BNB, and they have a buy and burn policy. So some of their profits are used to buy their own token, and then those tokens are burnt or destroyed. So that has the amazing features that because they're buying their own token, it basically increases demand for their token, and then they're burning those tokens, so it's decreasing supply. So those are the two main factors that drive prices of any asset, are supply and demand. And so BNB are employing that to great effect. And it's one of the best ways, I think, to have a real use case for the token and a real price driver for the token. So BNB is showing very much impulsive price actions the upside, and then corrective price action just sideways. And maybe we'll continue that sideways, and maybe we'll get a bit more of a downturn, perhaps. Who knows? But I'm just saying, in general, it's looking very, very positive. And this is one of those tokens that probably should be small part, a part of your portfolio. Because of that buy burn policy, it will continue to have that diminishing supply and yet the increasing demand for the token. So worth knowing a little bit about some of these tokens, about what they do. And there's some AI tokens as well, which Injective, for example, it's down a bit today, but it's been one of the big performers earlier on. I mean, it's turned down a bit recently, but it's a really good AI token. And again, this looks like corrective movement downwards. So I do think we're going to push again at some point to new all-time highs for this and other AI tokens, like, of course, eBay. So eBay is another AI token which uses artificial intelligence to rate cryptocurrencies, meaning it's totally unbiased. And the outlook, although it's one of those tokens which at the moment and for a long time has been languishing, one of those tokens that could potentially have a real impact across the whole industry, because it's used to rate other assets. It's using artificial intelligence to rate other assets. It's something that's needed. So when you're looking at a business, you're looking at, is there a problem to be solved? And yes, there is. People need to be informed as to what these cryptos are all about. But sorry, Bruce, I'm going on and on. Was there something you said you wanted to show something else, wasn't there?
Yes. So we have, I had a good go with our, oops, let me just see here. I'm trying to make a QR code while I'm talking about it. Consensus is probably the most important event in the U.S. for crypto and for the space. So this happens in Austin every year. This used to be in New York. So I don't know if you can put Consensus up there, David. The referral code is Bruce on there. So Consensus, it's May 29. Maybe I'll share my screen here. It's May 29 through the 31st. So it's coming up pretty quickly. It's presented by CoinDesk. And so this was basically all suits back in New York. And they moved to Austin, and it's become a bit more of a festival, which is kind of cool, right? Festivals are cool. So I contacted them. Of course, we're working together on this. CoinDesk has a great reputation. As I mentioned, this is going to be a massive event here. If you are able to get to, I got to switch my screen here. If you are able to get to Austin, then you should come, because this is an important event. So I'm going to share the link. Yeah, I guess the referral code is Bruce. I'm going to put a QR code. Actually, I have a QR code here. So if you're watching on your TVs right now and you scan this QR code, it'll take you right there. But if you don't, and it's okay, you can just use the referral code Bruce, and that's for 15% off on the tickets. Everybody will be here. This is the event, really, of the beginning of the year, of the year. I mean, Consensus this is the big event. All the big companies will be here. 34 days out, we'll be there. We'll be broadcasting as well from doing the show from there. You can see here Tom Emer. You have different he's U.S. House of Representatives. You have Brian Nelson from the Treasury Department. You have Hester Pierce from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. I could go on and on. ARK Investment here, Galaxy, Anthony Pompliano, a crowd favorite. Everybody loves this guy. And of course, he's an important person in the space. Draper Associates, Tim Draper, Ripple CEO, Brad Garlinghouse. We are also planning on doing let me see here. Let me pull it up. Boom. Our signature gala. That's going to be on May 30th. So the event is from the 29th to the 31st. And on the 30th, that Thursday, we are planning to do our Washington Elite Gala. I said, get ready to light up your evening with the most electrifying gala of the year. The Porter Brothers are back at Consensus, bringing you another unforgettable Washington Elite Gala this May 30th from 5 p.m. to midnight. Join us in the heart of Austin, Texas for an evening packed with excitement, networking, and fun. Dive into the world of sound money, investment, NFTs, ordinals, and some of the most iconic figures in the space. Whether you're looking to mingle with the stars, make your mark in the investment world, or just have a great time, this is the place to be. You can register for free. Just go to Luma, lu.ma/Washington Elite Gala. And that's how you get there, and you can register. And I'll have that up on the site. You'll have a great time. Plus, you'll be partying with the cause. Proceeds go towards supporting the Washington Elite Disabled Sportings Initiative. Don't miss out on the dazzling blend of fun, philanthropy, and innovation. See you there. We have historically been part of this event, the Consensus event. Let me just go back to the main page. Remember, you can get a 15% discount. I'll come over here. You can see the different passes that we have here. We have all the money. I mean, you saw the names. I mean, I can go down the list. Everybody will be here. This is a very important event. Matt, you should come over. Consensus 2024 passes. You have the Explorer Pass. You have the best value, which is the Pro Pass, and you have the Piranha Pass. I guess that's like their whale pass. And you get 15% off on each of those. You can see the savings already there. $750 they're giving off on the Explorer Pass. $900 off on this Pro Pass. So good stuff. I think that Consensus is it's a play on the consensus algorithm that we have in crypto, in Bitcoin. And that is, so the name Consensus. So we have a consensus of what is going on. And so that, I think, is it's important. And we want you to be there. Check it out. Austin, Texas. That's going to be May 29 through the 31st. So I'm super excited about it. And David, it's going to be fun to do one of our galas again.
Absolutely. Looking very, very forward to that.
That is going to be pretty cool. I'm going to put the QR code up here again for everybody. This will take you right there. But if you don't get this, and I can just test and see if it's even working. Is it working? Oh yeah, that's working. You can just enter the referral code Bruce, and you can get in there. There are very few sponsor levels left, and they charge a lot. They charge a lot, and there's very few sponsor levels left. But if you do want to get a booth or to have some type of sponsorship level, reach out to me as well. And we can get you set up like that. But we are very much looking forward to being out there. Austin is beautiful. It will be hot. If you haven't been to Austin before, it is really cool. I'm gonna put up the QR code there just while we're finishing up. It is Austin is like it's a music city. It's almost like Nashville used to be. I feel like Nashville, although Nashville's making a bit of a comeback. But Austin is very much, I mean, they closed down the streets. I didn't even know when I went there how much of a, quote unquote party city it was. It's a lot of fun. So Consensus is the world's largest, longest running, and most influential gathering that brings together all sides of the cryptocurrency, blockchain, and Web3 community. From the hard-hitting conversations with visionary speakers and hands-on workshops aimed at solving the industry challenges, developers, investors, founders, brands, policymakers, and more will walk away with the tools and insights needed to continue laying the foundation for a more decentralized future. It is called Consensus for a reason. The event is the primary forum where the industry comes together to discuss the most pivotal matters of the day, highlighting the biggest successes and debates of the most critical conversations. Consensus 2024 is your chance to be part of the most important conversation in crypto and Web3. use your referral code Bruce. Be there. David and Matt. I wasn't sure if you were still with us, but
Yeah.
you are. You were. Sometimes your thing freezes or at the end. But thank you. Another great day, guys, and really exciting road ahead of us. I hope, and I know that we're giving a lot of insight to people to trade smarter, be better with their money, and we'll continue doing it. See you guys in a few hours.
Real pleasure. Thanks, David. Thanks, Bruce. Thank you, everybody. Catch you soon.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with